Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass. Thank you for watching this Ag Forecast brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. Our software gives growers the insights to make the best decisions possible about their operations. And we have even more insights to offer you now with our new Spray Smart Historic. This upgrade to your Morning Farm Report account gives you field-specific data including wind speed and direction, relative humidity, temperature, wind speed, and dew point temperatures for your fields and your account. The report includes a table that contains the hourly observations from May 31st, 2017 to the date the report is completed. Email us at drift@agrible.com to get started. Well, I want to begin the video by taking a look at the last 48 hours of accumulated precipitation valid through late in the night on Wednesday night. We can see that that low pressure system we talked about in our Monday update, really brought much needed rains across North and South Dakota. We saw a huge section of North Dakota getting at least a half an inch, in some locations much more than that. So this is some desperately needed rain. Now those showers and storms are moving across parts of Minnesota tonight, late in the evening on Wednesday night and early morning Thursday, and then into parts of Wisconsin and Michigan. But before all that gets here, we saw that basically on Wednesday, we saw a lot of pop-up showers and storms across Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. But these storms that were back here in parts of Colorado and Nebraska were quite severe at times. In fact, here you can see them on radar here. Some of these storms produce quite a bit of hail. But we'll take a look at that in just a few moments. Here's the big precipitation shield with that low pressure system dropping all of that rain. And here are those hit or miss showers in the eastern Corn Belt. Now, as I said, some of these storms here in parts of Colorado and Nebraska produce quite a few hail reports. And this is what some of the damage looked like in parts of Colorado. We can see that the hail here, which was reported to get to the size of ping pong ball, did a lot of damage to those crops. So just want to show you some areas that were under stress with getting the most recent rounds of rain and storms. Now, as we look over the next few days, watch an animation here, the position of that low going over the Great Lakes by the time we get into the weekend. Now, as it does that, it's going to be draping a cold front across the Corn Belt, and that's going to do a few things for us. Let me pause this. By the time we get into Thursday afternoon, that low is really spinning right here, kind of on the border of Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. And as it moves through on Thursday afternoon and evening, it kind of drags that cold front right through the heart of the Corn Belt, and it's going to give us the chance for some showers and thunderstorms. Now, after this goes through, it looks like it's going to clear things out for a little bit. You can see as I get into Friday and into Saturday, higher air pressure moves in, kind of clearing things out. But as those storms move through here, on Thursday, Storm Prediction Center is keeping a close eye on that region for the potential for some of those storms to maybe strong to severe. So you need to be watching it as well on the day on Thursday. Now, the bigger picture, the second thing I want to show you here is that the flow of the atmosphere by the time this system gets going basically gets into this huge ridge out west, pumping lots and lots of heat up the west coast. Heat advisories and warnings basically going up the entirety of the west coast. But where we are in the central part of the country, here at Agrible, we're going to be dealing with a pretty sizable trough, and that's going to usher in some cooler and some drier weather. This is an animation showing you through the weekend how our dew point temperatures are going to change. So let me pause it because it kind of runs fast here. By the time that front sweeps through on Thursday into Friday morning, look at how the dew point temperatures really drop off. And we start to see dew point temperatures here that are getting into the 50s rather than in the 60s or sometimes in the 70s. So we're going to have a couple of days of some nicer, drier, cooler air with our overnight low temperatures getting cool with this drier air as well. But let me show you a little bit different perspective. This new animation I produced shows us 24-hour accumulated precipitation animating out for the next 10 days or so. So when we watch this, what we're seeing here at any given time period, so let's just pick this. This is valid Friday at 7 p.m. This is the total precipitation accumulating between 7 p.m. Friday and 7 p.m. Thursday. We can see that once that low pressure system moves over the Great Lakes, things are tending to dry out behind it as we get into what it looks like on Saturday. But I am watching another system that's kind of trying to emerge from the Rocky Mountains, potentially bringing some showers and storms into the center part of the country. And there's kind of some debate among us as we look at where the models are placing the precipitation over where the heaviest stuff is going to lie. The GFS model is kind of producing it a little bit farther south than the NAM model, which kind of keeps it into parts of Missouri and Illinois. But basically, the center part of the country, be on the lookout toward the end of the weekend weekend and the beginning of next week for the chances for more showers and thunderstorms into this area. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. In aggregate, to show you a kind of different view here, here's the next 10 days as forecast by the ECMWF. And you can see that the long-range European model is picking up on that heavy precip into this area as well, but they're also seeing, the showers and storms moving through with that front, getting basically from Minnesota to Michigan and then again into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. So basically we see a pretty sizable section of the Corn Belt getting some precipitation over the next few days and then stretching that out over the next 10 days or so. Now, when we look at the overall flow pattern setting up, that's what's animating in the background here. And what I want you just to see here is that I have been discussing over the last few video updates, we may have this shot for some mid-August warmth. With each new model run that comes out, we're kind of losing that chance of seeing some significant heat in mid-August. And that's simply because the latest runs of the GFS model are kind of keeping the ridge out west in a very broad trough over the eastern half of the country. So that's lowering our chances of that mid-August heat, and also that we're getting that northwest flow in that trough. That's really good for keeping the Corn Belt wet. I still don't see 2017's kind of August time period being as wet as 2016's, but still, this is a good thing, especially for our bean crop as we get into the month of August. Now again, latest update from the long-range European model, basically keeping most of the Corn Belt near average to cooler than average. Quite a bit of precipitation in the central states, which is why we're seeing the cooler than average anomalies in through here. So this is kind of our bigger picture look, and we're seeing some pretty good consistency out of the European model. Now, what I want to do to finish this up is I want to talk just briefly about a feature we haven't discussed in a while, and that's El Nino or La Nina. Now, again, really quickly, El Nino forms when we have really a large pocket of above average sea surface temperatures in this region I'm circling here. La Nina, it's when it's cooler than average. Now, during the summer, the connections between El Nino, La Nina, and our summer weather are rather weak, which is why we watch so much more closely what's going on in the Bering Sea, the Gulf of Alaska, the Hudson, and the North Atlantic. Also the Bermuda High. Those are the features that tend to dominate our summer weather. But I wanted to give you an update on what's going on with El Nino, because right now we are in what we call INSO-neutral conditions. That's basically where we have no strong El Nino or La Nina signal. And when we look out over the next basically year, our long-range forecasting system at Agrible suggests that we're going to be staying between El Nino conditions, which on my graph here is kind of highlighted in this red, or La Nina conditions, which is down here. We're going to be seeing this INSO-neutral kind of region in through here where there's a slight warm bias but not a big signal telling us big El Nino or big La Nina coming for this winter. This is also backed up by the models that are a part of the National Multi-Model Ensemble, just to kind of show you another group doing this forecasting. Now, where I think it's important, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to start this discussion, is because of what wintertime precipitation looks like for South America. So we're now looking toward what the upcoming growing season is going to look like in South America. And these two maps are from a publication in the journal Nature that showed the December through February precipitation patterns for El Nino and La Nina. Now, El Nino, La Nina have a much bigger impact on Northern Hemisphere winter conditions and Southern Hemisphere summer. And what you can see here is that if big El Ninos show up, we tend to be a little bit drier in the northern growing regions and wetter in the southern growing regions. And if there's a La Nina, it tends to be wetter in the northern growing regions and drier in the southern. You talk to a lot of Brazilian farmers, they'll tell you that really the Mato Grosso doesn't seem to be quite as heavily impacted by El Nino or La Nina as the southern growing regions like Mato Grosso do Sul, getting down to Paraná and Rio Grande do Sul, which really get hit much harder by this. I just want to give you some perspective to show you that if we did have strong El Nino or La Nina, we'd be on the lookout for these precipitation patterns. But as you just saw, our long-range forecast is for actually INSO-neutral conditions. So that means neither strong El Nino or La Nina. So we got to be watching a lot of other things this winter that are going to be controlling our weather across the United States and across Brazil. But just want to give you that latest update on what we're seeing here around the Central Pacific Ocean. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this forecast. We hope you look forward to Agrible's next Ag Forecast on Monday. To get Morning Farm Report for your operations, complete with a daily email that shows a snapshot of your field conditions each morning, go to morningfarmreport.com. Sign up for that free account. Full grower accounts are free if you sign up for our Sustainable Yield Program or for growers who work with AD merchandisers. Thank you, and I look forward to talking to you again on Monday.